Election administration in the United States. Early U.S. elections were straightforward, infrequent events. But as the country grew, elections became much more complex. In most countries, national elections are run by one centralized commission, ensuring a more consistent experience for voters. In the U.S., thousands of local election managers plan operations for their jurisdictions, which range from fewer than 100 voters to nearly 7 million. The constitutional quirk that created this mosaic is the Elections Clause. It says that states run their own elections, but Congress can step in when needed. A national law, the Help America Vote Act of 2002, created the Election Assistance Commission. This body provides guidance to state administrators but does not manage elections nationally. Each jurisdiction relies on their respective state laws, rules, and funding to decide how voters are registered, ballots are cast, and votes are counted. For some voters, the experience is simple and straightforward. For others, it's fraught with hurdles. Some voters register at government offices, others online or by mail. Voter registration deadlines vary from a month before the election to Election Day itself. In more than half the states, voters must show identification to vote. As free voter IDs are not universally available, some contend it's a burden on elderly, minority, and low-income groups, dampening their participation in elections. Casting ballots is another issue. Many voters cast their ballot on a computer. The technology may be new or more than a decade old and obsolete. Some voters are given paper ballots or vote by mail. In most states, the chief election officer, usually an elected Secretary of State or Lieutenant Governor, supervises the election. Responsibilities include overseeing voter registration, centralizing voter records, and generally making the voting experience more uniform within each state, with some guidance from the EAC. Other states have an appointed commission or shared responsibility for these tasks. In some cases, the chief election officer oversees his or her own election or resolves conflicts involving his or her political party. This can be seen as a conflict of interest. This was highlighted in Georgia's 2018 election, where the Secretary of State was responsible for election oversight and also a candidate for governor. His office's attempts to purge voter registries, close voting precincts, and reject some absentee ballots were considered highly controversial. Opponents alleged he was using his official position to benefit his candidacy and party. He claimed to be enforcing election guidelines, not as a politician, but as a public official. To address this issue in some states, conflict of interest laws have been proposed. For example, some states have resign to run laws requiring certain officials to leave office before running for election. Over time, the election process has become increasingly complex and often more difficult for voters. Researchers are finding this is one factor reducing public trust in U.S. elections.